13 days to go and it's all in. We know it's a close race, and the president is making sure he gets the message out with a marathon blitz across the country. He started his day with a rally in Iowa. From Iowa, he went to Denver for a rally this afternoon. At this hour, he's making his way to Los Angeles, where he's taping a spot on The Tonight Show. After that, it's on to Las Vegas for another rally, and he'll be flying on the red eye to Tampa overnight. Tomorrow, the pace continues, hitting 4 cities before returning to D.C. in the evening.
This is the first stop on our 48-hour fly-around campaign marathon extravaganza. But I had to start in Iowa to ask you for your vote, to ask you for your support so we can finish what we started.
The vice president was also on the trail today, and he had some advice for a young supporter.
These guys are become so tied to special interest. Look, I don't blame that baby for crying. You know what? She just realized what it means if Romney gets elected. She is out there. God love her. Hi, baby, how are you? It's okay. He's not going to get elected. You're going to be okay.
It's okay. He's not going to get elected. For his part, Governor Romney keeps saying he's got the momentum.
Now, I'm not sure whether you've been watching TV, but we've had a number of debates lately. Have you noticed that? Yeah. And, you know, they have really propelled our campaign. They have supercharged our campaign. I've got to tell you that. You're seeing this movement growing. There's no question about it. We're seeing more and more enthusiasm, more and more support.
You say something enough times, maybe you'll even start to believe it. And actually, that has become part of the conventional wisdom. Romney momentum. It's a standard theme you see in headlines all over the place. Everyone knows this race is close. It got close 3 weeks ago. But the idea of Romney's momentum since then is a myth. It is just not happening. Joining me now is Bob Shrum, a Democratic strategist and a professor at NYU, and Anna Marie Cox, Washington correspondent for The Guardian. Thank you both for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
Good to be here.
Bob, let me start with you. There's all this talk about momentum, but the latest Time poll just out shows President Obama's up 5 in Ohio. What about the momentum? I mean, who has it?
I think this is an artificial construct. 3 weeks ago, and I think you and I talked about this, I wrote a column in the Daily Beast after that first debate saying, look, this has not changed the fundamental structure of the race, and it hasn't. The polls tightened somewhat, but in every one of these critical battleground states, if you look across the whole range of them, the president has a chance to win all of them, and he's in better shape than Romney. Beyond that, if you look not just at that Ohio poll tonight, but what's happening, for example, in the Gallup poll, where Romney had a 7-point lead, then a 6-point lead, now it's a 3-point lead, and that's a 6-day rolling average. So whatever surge there was is receding. But this is an old Republican trick. They did it in 2000, for example, saying they were going to win California, spent millions of dollars there. We refused to spend a dime. We won the state by double digits. They only got the election by stealing Florida.
Now, Anna Marie, when you hear Bob talking about swing states, let's look at that a minute. According to NBC, most battleground states and Real Clear Politics says the president's ahead. In Iowa, he's up 2 points. New Hampshire up 0.8%. Ohio, 1.7. Wisconsin, up 2.7. Romney's only up a fraction, 0.2% in Colorado and 1.8 in Florida. They're tied in Virginia. Where's the momentum? I mean, I don't see, if you've got the president with 5 of the swing states, where's the Romney momentum?
Well, it's true. I mean, things haven't really changed. I think Bob was right. I mean, this has been a tight race. It's going to be a tight race. Every vote matters. And I think that's why you see the Republicans playing kind of this mind game about momentum, this talk that, Obama's pulling out of North Carolina. These states are in play that aren't in play. They're trying for every little vote they can, including, I guess, the votes of the media. I mean, they're really just trying to sway coverage in the same way that Bush tried to sway it in 2000 by playing for, or appearing to play for California. In reality, if I was the Obama team, I wouldn't be comfortable with where things are in those swing states. But it's true that they are ahead there, and they do have, as we've been talking about, that firewall in the Midwest that looks like it might hold for them pretty well.
No, I'm with Anna Marie there. I don't think it's a thing of being comfortable, but I'm trying to deal with this myth that is being sold across the board. There's a momentum, Bob. Let me give you an example. Let's look at Ohio. In Real Clear Politics says the day before the debate, first debate, president had a 5.5 lead in Ohio. A week after the debate, the president had a 1.3% lead in Ohio. It dropped to 1.3. Today, he's back up to a 1.7% lead in Ohio. So where's the momentum where Ohio is clearly the decisive state, if not one of the decisive states?
Look, as I said, I think the first debate hurt the president. I think polls tightened. They tightened somewhat in the battleground states. But the other thing is, when you do these poll numbers, the Real Clear Politics average, there's a lot of junk in there. I mean, there are all these Rasmussen polls that always skew Republican. There are these new people who've come up called Gravis that nobody ever heard of before, who appear to be some Republican outfit that produces numbers no one believes. I trust that Time magazine number. It's consistent with numbers we've seen, for example, from NBC Marist. I think the president's probably 4 or 5 ahead in Ohio. Anna Maria's right. This is a close election. No one can take anything for granted. But the president has many more routes to 270 electoral votes than does Mitt Romney. He could lose Ohio and still win this election if he carried New Hampshire, Colorado, Iowa, and Wisconsin. That's not at all an implausible scenario if he lost Ohio, Virginia, and Florida.
Now, Anna Marie, one of the reasons why I'm dealing with this myth is in 2000, Karl Rove, before the 2000 election, predicted a big win for then-Governor Bush. He said Bush would get, quote, in the vicinity of 320 electoral votes, and that Bush would win 50% to 51% of the popular vote compared to 44 to 45% for Gore. And we all know that Gore actually won the popular vote and that Bush got 271 electoral votes to 266 for Gore. So are we seeing this as a standard Republican strategy? Talk momentum, we're winning, to really try to drive out their vote and try to convince independents go with the winner and we're the winners?
Well, both sides do this kind of thing. Both sides sort of play this mind game that I actually can never quite get my head around. I can't decide if what they're trying to do is convince people that they're winning so people will go with the winner, or say that the other side is winning so people will turn out and vote just to make sure you win. I mean, I think it's kind of a dangerous game. I think for the most part they probably do it to influence media coverage. I'm not sure if they're actually connecting with voters with this kind of talk. I think that the message we need to get to voters is you need to vote no matter what. Your vote always counts. Your vote matters, especially in a close election. It doesn't matter who you vote for, your vote is going to count. And this stuff about momentum, I mean, that's sort of an inside baseball game, but when you are competing for every vote, maybe swaying that media narrative like one way or another is going to matter to them.
You are, Bob, an expert in Rovism. What was Rove doing, and are they doing the same thing today?
Rove actually believes this. They, I think in 2000, thought they could bums rush the electorate by saying this. It was very expensive for them. They spent almost $10 million on media in California, and we sat in Nashville and said, we're not spending a dime, and we refused to spend a dime. The other object I think they had that year was to try to get us to take resources out of Florida, for example, and put resources in California. We were not going to do that. It would have spelled the end of the election. But I think people are smarter than this. I think this is going to be the shortest live surge in history. All those national polls, the whatever Romney gains there were, are coming out. They're deflating. And we're seeing the same thing in some of these critical battleground states. So I think this is a concocted story. I kind of agree with Anna Marie. I hated it and wouldn't do it when in campaigns. I think it was dumb.
Anna Marie, President Clinton just cut a new TV ad for the Obama campaign. Watch this.
The stuff some folks are saying about President Obama sounds kind of familiar. The same people said my ideas would destroy jobs, and they call me every name in the book. Well, we created 22 million new jobs and turned deficits into surpluses. President Obama's got it right.
Pretty effective, Anna Marie.
That I think Bill Clinton has been doing some of the best campaigning of his life for Obama in this cycle. I think he might be a more effective campaigner for Obama in this cycle than he was for himself when he was running for president. These ads are really effective. You can see that he's having a good time. You can see that he really believes what he's saying. I think when that first line where he says this stuff that people are saying about Obama, I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't have used that word in let's say, private company. I think he probably had another word in mind. And I think this kind of thing is definitely going to work for the Obama people. Those people are on the those people who are on the fence who have good memories of the Clinton years. This is probably a convincing argument for them.
Reverend, can I add one line? What's amazing about that spot is that he got the whole convention speech, his whole brilliant convention speech, into 30 seconds.
That's Bill Clinton. Bob Shrum and Anna Maria Cox, thank you for your time this evening. And folks, if you want to check out the Electoral College count, go to our Facebook page right now. That's facebook.com/politicsnation. We've linked it to an interactive electoral map. Fill it out and share it with us on our Facebook page. Coming up, Paul Ryan speaks on poverty. I want to know just what Paul Ryan knows about the struggle of the poor. What has he done? And this Republican operative was arrested in Virginia for allegedly trashing voter registration forms. Tonight we have big news from the state's attorney general. Stay with us.